Welcome to Holloman Air Force Base and the 49th Wing Change of Command Ceremony. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Reggie Reed, your narrator for today's ceremony. The ceremony you're about to witness is a military tradition deeply rooted in history and dates back to the times of the Roman Legion. In that period, military organizations developed flags that were unique to the organization with special colors and designs. When soldiers followed their leaders into battle, they kept sight of the flag, and if the banner still waved after the conflict, it was a sign that their side had won. The passing of colors, standards, or ensigns from an outgoing commander to an incoming one ensures that the unit and its soldiers is never without official leadership, a continuation of trust, and also signifies an allegiance of soldiers to their unit's commander. Today, Colonel Robert E. Kiebler will relinquish command of the 49th Wing to Colonel Houston R. Cantwell. Lieutenant General Mark C. Noland, Commander, 12th Air Force, Air Forces Southern, will officiate today's ceremony. As a reminder, military members need to remain covered and render the appropriate honors. Salutes will be rendered on the first note of ruffles and flourishes and during the singing of the national anthem. Those not in uniform may place your right hand over your heart. The 49th Wing would like to extend a special welcome to the families of the official party. Lieutenant General Noland's wife, Kristen. Colonel Kiebler's wife, Marcel, and their son, Danny. Colonel Kiebler's parents, U.S. Army retired Lieutenant Colonel Bob Kiebler and Mrs. Pat Kiebler. Colonel Kiebler's father and mother-in-law, U.S. Army retired Lieutenant Colonel Larry Furrow and Mrs. Len Furrow. Colonel Cantwell's wife, Lisa, their son, Evan, and daughters, Amelia and Tessa. Colonel Cantwell's father, Mr. James Cantwell. Colonel Cantwell's brother and sister-in-law, Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Cantwell and his wife, Jenny. Colonel Cantwell's father and mother-in-law, Mr. Robert Bechtel and his wife, Judy. Colonel Cantwell's sister-in-law, Mrs. Allison McGuire. We would also like to recognize our distinguished guests. Please hold your applause until all introductions are completed. The Mayor of Alamogordo and the Honorary Commander, 49th Wing, the Honorable Richard Boss. Holloman Wingman, Mr. Bill Burt. The Deputy Director for Operations, National Joint Operations and Intelligence Center, Brigadier General Alexis Grinkowicz, his wife Shannon, and their son Justin. Vice Commander, 25th Air Force, Brigadier General Select James Clough. Holloman Wingman Mrs. Toots Green and her husband John. Holloman Wingman Mr. Ed Brabson. Holloman Wingman Reverend Dwight Sharp. Holloman Wingman Mr. John Gardner. Holloman Wingman Mr. Don Carroll and his wife Rosemarie. Finally, we welcome all Holloman Air Force Base leaders, chiefs, our local civilian leaders, and the men and women of the 49th Wing. Welcome and thank you for joining us for this special event. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party, the playing of ruffles and flourishes, the presentation of the colors, the singing of the national anthem by Mrs. Sarah Oswald, followed by the invocation given by Chaplain Kenneth Johnson.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Chaplain Johnson will now come forward to give the invocation.
Let us all pray. Eternal God, we thank you for your abiding presence and the tradition rooted in our military history as the command of the 49th Wing is passed from Colonel Robert E. Kiebler to Colonel Houston R. Cantwell. Lord, we pause to thank you for Colonel Kiebler's example of servant leadership as our commander and all he has accomplished here at Holloman with the RPA Enterprise and our tenant partners. We pray your blessing upon Colonel Kiebler, his wife Marcel, their son Danny, and the entire Kiebler family for their care for this community and as they move towards retirement. Then, dear Lord, we pray for our new commander, Colonel Cantwell. As he assumes command, grant him discernment, strength, surround him with wise counsel and expertise. As we welcome his family to Team Holloman, be with his wife, Lisa, their children, Evan, Amelia, and Tessa, and the entire Cantwell family. Cause Colonel Cantwell to lead decisively and guide he and his family during this time of transition and great opportunity. Finally, we pray for your blessing upon the men and women of the 49th Wing and our Holloman community. Keep us all mindful and faithful in all our duties, dear Lord. May your hand of mercy enable us to support each other. May your divine providence keep us safe, and may your wisdom guide the members of the 49th Wing to meet every challenge and support our new commander, Colonel Cantwell, and his family. Now, Lord, bless this historical moment and all gathered to bear witness. This we pray in your holy and righteous name. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Thank you, Steel Talent Honor Guard, Mrs. Oswalt and Chaplain Johnson. It is my pleasure to introduce the Commander, 12th Air Force, Air Forces Southern, Lieutenant General Mark Noland.
Well, good morning. Good morning, Holloman. Holy buckets. Look at this place. What a wonderful facility. Beautiful, huge flag. And for all the troops, you guys look fantastic. Shooter, let's go ahead and put them at ease. We'll just go ahead and... It's going to take a little bit here to sing the praises of what's going on. To all our distinguished visitors, I'd like to echo the narrator's welcome. I'm not going to go through individually, but really, thank you for honoring us with your presence, being here. It's important to the wing, it's important to the Kiebler and the Cantwell families, and we really appreciate it. To Marcel and Danny and the rest of the Kiebler family, thank you for coming here to see your dad's change of command, your sons, your daughters, so we can brag on the fantastic work that they have done in leading this magnificent wing. And for the Cantwell family, thank you, and we'll say more about that, but we appreciate them all coming out. And for the kids, moving from Japan to Holloman in the middle of the summer, welcome to Desert Southwest. Coming from Vegas, you guys are used to it, but anyway, it's still good to see you all. You know, this wing has got a magnificent history, and change of commands are wonderful times to reflect on the history of the wing. If you think about it, and going through the history, I think it's rather significant that this wing really started getting built on February 6th. Happens to be my birthday, but anyway, a few years separated, but 1942, the nation was at war. Bombers, training bombers, who would then go on and employ in almost every major campaign in all of Europe. Funny how things change, but some things don't change. Like the bench depth of the United States Air Force, over time you will see that we have terrific commanders, and the nation always responds. As I said, in 1942, the nation was at war. In 2016, the nation's at war. We are a nation in conflict. And this wing started training bomber pilots. This wing now trains the next generation of warriors who have totally innovated the way that we fight our nation's wars. That being the RPA Enterprise. It also trains F-16 future operators who go out and are integral towards the team effort that we move. And then finally, the Bear Base that continues to open up bases at a moment's notice. And they're busy because we are changing, because the conflict changes. And then finally, that test and evaluation, the track that we have out there, they're testing F-35 seats right now, trying to figure out what we can do and how we can make that seat and that airplane accessible to every American. Every American. It's an amazing history. You go from there, you go to F-4s, the 49th Wing, when it fighter wing, when it gets here, flying F-4s, then to F-15s, then to F-22s. Change is inevitable. But change doesn't necessarily mean it's good or bad, it's just change. What's great about it is what people do with change. And this wing is responding to change and has been led by a fabulous leader. And you know what? I know your name is Robert, but I really don't know what his real name is. It's Keebs. It's always been Keebs. Colonel Kiebler to me. And Keebs and Marcel have done an incredible job going through the challenges that this wing has faced. Because when Keebs got here, we were producing at a rate for FTU production that was what we thought we needed. But through your boss's leadership in combination with Colonel Cunningham from Creech, they set in motion a bottom-up surge known as CPIP, Cultural Process Improvement Program for the RPA community. And you guys don't know it. Many of the staff officers know it because they worked it hard, but they worked that concept and drove it all the way to the highest levels of the United States Air Force, where the Chief of Staff and the Secretary of the Air Force accepted the basic proposals that these two leaders had put together to take care of this community. A community which he entered years ago and has fostered and grown with. It's quite a tribute to your work and your leadership and your vision. And it'll be part of his legacy that you will experience for years to come as we have more groups, more wings to go to, more crews. But the problem with that, the fruit of his labor came with a little price, because the RPA production was recognized that we needed to up the number of pilots and sensor operators, and thus the surge you've been working through. 100 new IPs this summer have come into this wing, and now you're working harder than you've ever worked. For that, all I could say is thank you. Being an IP, an instructor pilot, or an instructor sensor operator, it's not easy. Teaching students is the best way to learn and really perfect the craft that you are doing. And for the extra hours that you put in to learn how to do it, thank you. Your instruction is making a difference. I told this story yesterday, but I'll tell it again. You know how I know you're all doing so great? I just read a report earlier this week that last week, a second lieutenant who had graduated and been at Creech for 1 month on his first Hellfire shot, probably paired with a very expensive sensor operator, but needless to say, on his first Hellfire shot, took out a key leader of Al-Qaeda and Daesh. You're training warriors, and it's not going to stop, and your training's only going to get better. So thank you for that, for each of you. I also need to thank you for dealing with those unexpected moments. A hangar where the fire suppression system goes off and 8 aircraft are inside, and everybody pulls together as a team to make sure that we handle it and get through it and get back to operations as soon as possible. Teaming with our AETC brethren when we lose an F-16, the whole wing comes together to support that operation to make sure that we take care of them. And then finally, the ultimate mantra that I tell all of our leaders in 12th Air Force, creating an environment where we win our engagements while at the same time taking care of our people, creating an environment where somebody at work knows me and cares about me. And this is where Marcel comes in. Marcel has been a teacher in the Holloman School District right here, and a credit to her, she has been a champion of education, which to families is the most important thing. Teaching your children and creating a better life for them. And Marcel, for all of your efforts in improving the education system here at Holloman Air Force Base, and not only Holloman, but work in the whole community, thank you very much for that. And for young Danny, thank you for the time that your mom and dad were busy, working, going in late at night, and keeping the balance, so thank you for your service also. But the good news is about change. As I said, if you go back to 1942, we had great leaders. We still have great leaders now. The bench depth of the United States Air Force is unbelievable. The Cantwell family is coming to us from Japan. And Slider and Lisa are the right team to help fill in after Keeb's magnificent leadership. He's got an incredible career. You can read it in his bio. University of Virginia graduate, Air Force intern, F-16. From there, he told me a story last night that when he was a youngster, he knew about these unmanned aerial systems is what they were called back then, and he went to the 15th Reconnaissance Squadron, actually the 9th. He went to the 9th with beer and asked to be hung around and see if they could tell him what's going on. He knew then that this was a system and a community he wanted to be involved in, and subsequently he's done it. He's been the OG of the 732nd, so he understands our system. He also understands that the challenges we have put in place are not finished, and we need to keep moving forward to improve this community, to normalize this community, and to keep the action and momentum going. Lisa and the children are going to be great for us. Evan, Amelia, and Tessa, thank you for your sacrifice also. Moving around a lot as a family is difficult, and I appreciate it. Lisa is the kind of leader that's going to get involved just like Marcel and work education, work and support for the family, and help Slider create an environment where somebody at work knows me, cares about me, while we win. And in the end, there's a lot of change, but there's also a lot of similarity. 1942, we were a nation at war. 2016, we're a nation at war. Key to World War II was air superiority and air power. Key to 2016 is air superiority and air power. This base delivers. With the help of the local community, we look forward to many more years of air power leadership from Holloman Air Force Base. Thank you for the leadership from the community supporting this base. Thank you for supporting the Cantwell family. And we look forward to continued support from Team Holloman. 1942 to 2016, there's no stopping us. We'll keep moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General Noland. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the Legion of Merit. Attention to orders. Citation to accompany the award of the Legion of Merit has been awarded to Colonel Robert E. Kiebler. Colonel Robert E. Kiebler distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Commander, 49th Wing, Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico, from 18 July 2014 to 15 July 2016. During this period, the exemplary ability, diligence, and devotion to duty of Colonel Kiebler were instrumental factors in the resolution of many complex problems of major importance to the Air Force. As a key strategic leader for the United States Air Force remotely piloted aircraft enterprise, Colonel Kiebler provided critical leadership and expertise to Air Combat Command and Headquarters Air Force to enable their analysis and subsequent strategic vision for training, career development, and future force structure for the MQ-1 and MQ-9 weapons system. His leadership enabled a complete restructuring of the strategic vision for the community and has put the Air Force on track to get the enterprise healthy after more than a decade of sustained growth. Under his exceptional leadership, the 49th Wing developed a comprehensive plan to increase MQ-1 and MQ-9 training by over 40% and grew the training operation to be the largest aviation training program of its kind in the entire Air Force, with over 800 pilots and sensor operators to be trained in 1 year. Colonel Kiebler's innate abilities ensured successful implementation of the year-long F-22 to F-16 mission transition, all while coordinating support for 19 other tenant units on the third largest Air Force base in the world. Under Colonel Kiebler's watch, the Basic Expeditionary Airfield Resources Unit deployed multiple crews around the world and established bases throughout Africa and the Middle East. Furthermore, despite facing significant budgetary challenges, Colonel Kiebler guided the wing restructuring of non-appropriated fund activities and protected the base library, pool, movie theater, and aero club from closure. Finally, His leadership led the 49th Wing to a highly effective rating for executing the mission, as well as effective ratings for managing resources and airmen's time during the Air Combat Command Unit Effectiveness Inspection. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Kiebler culminate a long and distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander, 49th Wing, Colonel Robert Kiebler.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Shooter, if you could go ahead and put the wing at ease, please. And at rest. Thank you. Okay, first I'd like to say thank you to a number of folks here. I'm not going to name them individually because we've already gone through that, and there's really too many to recognize. For those of you who have come from out of town, thank you so much for taking the time, taking the days out of your busy schedule to come here and help Slider and I celebrate this change in leadership. To our civic leaders, you have been there throughout the 2 years for both Marcel and I, our entire family, and the Holloman family that you have embraced as part of the Tularosa Basin. Thank you for what you do for our airmen every day, and I appreciate your support. Lastly, to the members of Team Holloman, the folks who are not part of the 49th Wing but are part of our everyday life, whether it's our Wismar partners, folks from Fort Bliss, the 54th Fighter Group, the Test Group, our German partners, the DET who flies the QF-4s, all of those folks combined to make this a better place to serve. Thank you. And let's face it, I know that you will remember very little of what I have to say here today, a week from now. Of the many changes of command I have participated in or sat in the audience for, the one thing that sticks in my memory is strictly the time that the speaker stood on the stage. So I will try to be quick, and with that in mind, I hope you remember just one thing from this speech, and that's the accomplishments, the professionalism, and the dedication of the men and women standing in the formation in the middle of this hangar. Because let's face it, no matter how important we think we are as senior leaders, it really doesn't matter all that much who's standing here on this stage. It will be our airmen accomplishing the mission, innovating and revolutionizing the Air Force, protecting our way of life, and in the end, taking care of each other every single day, and that's what really matters. Together, the men and women of the 49th Wing have accomplished extraordinary things over the last few years, and very little of it, again, has to do with the senior leadership that is here, and it is the dedication of these individuals here in front of you. It has been to the members of the Bear Base, for instance, ensuring our deployed locations are equipped and built to meet the mission and quality life challenges for our deployed members. As you've heard already, over the last couple of years, they have been all over the Middle East, Africa, and Central America, impressing everyone with their skill, knowledge, and tireless dedication. And they have directly supported our global RPA enterprise around the world by building up the infrastructure and shelters to ensure we can fly this critical asset. And because I can do this one more time, what base? All right. It is our medical professionals of the 49th Medical Group who work so hard to take care of not only our airmen and their families, but we have about 6,000 retirees and their family members in the area. From access to care to medical readiness rates, they have balanced the 49th Wing mission accomplishment with building a more robust medical care quality of life for all of our people. I also want you to remember the airmen of the Mission Support Group, who, like the medical group, has an overarching mission to take care of the entirety of Team Holloman. 49th Wing, our mission partners, our family members, they are the unsung heroes and professionals of the FSS that coordinate finances and promotions, DTS vouchers, and in my own personal case, retirements. And they are the organizers of many of the events that enrich our lives here at Holloman. They are the CE professionals building roads and maintaining the electrical grid, the members of the EOD that are often called out to support the local economy or local community, the logisticians of the 49th LRS who ensure accomplishment of the varied flying missions here on Holloman. And they are the defenders and firefighters that keep us safe at night. I try to tell all of our defenders every time I go through the gate, thank you for protecting the base and all of our families. And it is our RPA maintainers and ops professionals, innovators, strategic thinkers, crew chiefs, comm specialists, SARM professionals, our RAPCON folks, and aviators that have accomplished no less than a revolution in air power. They have designed and begun to implement a strategic vision for the RPA enterprise while also increasing MQ-1 and MQ-9 training to unprecedented levels. In only 1 year, they have almost doubled the number of instructor pilots at Holloman, increased training by over 40%, and built Holloman to be the largest formal training unit in the entire world. And to put that into perspective, we will train over 800 pilots and sensor operators in just 1 year, and we will produce more pilots than the entire fighter and bomber communities combined. But these are just numbers. In the end, the focus of the RPA community, whether it's training or operations, is to save lives, to bring back our loved ones who are in harm's way every day. There is one memory that will always stick with me from being a part of the RPA enterprise. It's from my time as a squadron commander in the 15th Reconnaissance Squadron, and many of you have heard me tell this story before. I was called into the ground control station to be a safety observer for a possible kinetic strike. The crew, a young pilot, a young sensor operator, had been doing overwatch for a patrol that was outside the wire in Afghanistan. They had run into trouble and had been ambushed by enemy forces. The JTAC, the Joint Terminal Air Controller, he's the individual who's responsible for coordinating the air power, the aircraft above the target area with the folks on the ground, had taken a round through his leg. Along with a number of other wounded who were part of that patrol. They couldn't bring in a medevac helicopter because the landing zone was still too hot and the ambush was still going on. So very cool, together, the two individuals coordinated with the JTAC, found the enemy, employed a weapon on their position, and broke up the ambush, allowing the medevac helicopter to come in and save everybody's lives. So everybody walked away from the battlefield on that day. And once again, it's because of the professionals of the 49th Wing, 432nd, and everybody else who does this mission every single day. And so please, if you don't remember anything else, take away this one theme: how outstanding our airmen are and the incredible achievements that they've accomplished. And it is to the men and women of the 49th Wing that I want to say my first thanks. Slider, Lisa, I am jealous of you taking command and starting out this adventure. It's been wonderful for Marcel and I, and you are the perfect person to take command. Before I close, I'd like to express gratitude for some of the people who have made these last 2 years so special for me. General Noland, thank you for your trust and leadership, letting me lead these outstanding airmen. The wing commanders and the airmen of 12th Air Force use you as an example for leadership every day. Thank you. To the senior leaders here at Holloman, Shooter, all of the group commanders, squadron commanders, first sergeants, senior enlisted, your leadership has been an example to me throughout these 2 years, and it has been an honor to serve with you. To friends, those here today and those who couldn't make it, that have made my military career so much more than a job, thank you for being there throughout this time, and I appreciate what you've done for me. Katie and Linda, Linda's husband, Cassius, taught me how to be a young fighter pilot, and more importantly, kept me out of trouble. That allowed me to be here today. Cliffy, brother, it's been one heck of a ride the last 9 or 10 years. Thank you for helping me be a better commander and senior leader, and I am going to miss our conversations about the things you just cannot make up. We've got other senior RPA leaders in the audience today. Scam, Sweet, thank you for being here and making the trek, and everybody else who I can't name today. To my family, all that I can say is that your support and love has meant the world to me. Len and Larry, thank you for letting me be a part of the Furrow family. I'm grateful for being a part of that being part of my life. To my mom and dad, you set the example I've tried to follow my whole life, and it's your support that enabled me to be successful from the beginning. And most importantly, Marcel and Danny, I hope you know how much I love you. Thank you for sacrificing all these years and letting me stand here on this stage. And I can't wait to start the next adventure in our life. And to the men and women of the 49th Wing, be proud of the great things that you do every single day. Keep up the fight and keep being extraordinary. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Kiebler. Ladies and gentlemen, in keeping with military tradition, the 49th Wing will bid farewell to Colonel Kiebler with his last salute as the commander, 49th Wing. Ladies and gentlemen, you will now observe the symbolic portion of the ceremony. Please stand for the change of command. Command of the 49th will be passed from Colonel Kiebler to Colonel Cantwell. The 49th Wing flag represents the command. Attention to orders. The Department of the Air Force has announced that effective July 15, 2016, by order of the Commander, 12th Air Force, Air Forces Southern, Colonel Houston R. Cantwell is assigned as Commander, 49th Wing, Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico. Signed, Lieutenant General Mark C. Noland, Commander, 12th Air Force, Air Forces Southern. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Colonel Graycraft, put the wing at rest, please. Thank you. What an absolutely beautiful day to be in southern New Mexico. It may be a little warm, but wow, is it beautiful around here. To the airmen standing in formation, thank you. You have worked very hard to put this ceremony together, and you look spectacular. Very professional. Major Becky Hart, where are you? Where are you, Becky? There she is in the back. Hey, thank you for leading this effort. You all honor the 49th Wing. I'm proud of you, and the leaders of the 49th Wing are proud of you. Lieutenant General Mrs. Noland, Brigadier General and Mrs. Grinkowicz, Brigadier General Coffin, Brigadier General McKenrick, Brigadier General Select Clough, Holloman Wingman, the Committee of 50 fellow leaders, community and civic leaders whose support allows Holloman Air Force Base's unbridled success, honored guests, German partners, members of this great community, family and friends, and most importantly, airmen of the 49th Wing. Guten Morgen. Good morning. And it's not just a good morning, it's a great morning to come together, celebrate the success of this wing, and start a new chapter. General Noland, I'd like to thank you and General Carlisle for this opportunity. I'm honored and humbled to lead the 49th Wing. Thank you for your trust and confidence. I look forward to leading the airmen and building ever stronger relationships with the Alamogordo community. Lisa and I are grateful for this opportunity and are excited to be part of the 12th Air Force team once again. Thanks. I'm privileged to take command from an amazing leader, a friend, and a fellow classmate, Colonel Rob Kiebler. Kiebs, who would have thought that our hypothetical musings about the RPA community back at Air University would come to this? Thank you for your leadership through difficult and resource-constrained times. You've postured us for success for many years to come. Well done. Marcel, thank you for your service to this great community. And also thanks for making my family's transition to Holloman a smooth one. I wish you both the best as you start your next adventure. Next, I'd like to thank my family. Lisa, I never would have made it here, and I'm reminded of that every time we PCS because my bosses are always quick to remind me that you're the better half of this team. Thank you for your love and support over the years. We've got a long list of blessings with this opportunity at the top of that list. To my children, Evan, Amelia, and Tessa, thank you for your positive attitudes, your can-do attitudes, and your love and support. I can't wait to explore New Mexico with you, and taking inspiration from the movie Zootopia, I can't wait to try everything. To my dad, thanks for making the trip out from Virginia. Thank you for your love and support and getting me to this point. To my brother, Lieutenant Colonel Patrick Cantwell, and his wife, Jenny, thanks for coming out to join us. It means a lot. To my in-laws, Robert, Judy, and Allison, your support has been unwavering over 13 years. Thank you for being a part of this special day. And finally, to the Fightin' 49ers, it is with great pride that I stand before you as your new commander. This is a tremendous organization that has undergone rapid and significant change over a short period of time. These changes were made possible by airmen just like you. Just a few years ago, F-15 Eagles streaked across our skies. Then stealth fighters, then Raptors. In fact, General Grinkowicz just a few years ago told me his stories of bedding down the F-22s when he was the OSS commander here. A few years later, they were gone. Now we provide much-needed bear-based support. We're sunsetting an important Luftwaffe training program, and we're supporting a robust test group. As we look to the future, and what a bright future it is, we will continue to develop and mature the RPA training pipeline. The 49th Wing has become and will remain the training pillar to the Air Force remotely piloted aircraft community, the largest community in the combat Air Force, collecting more intelligence and employing more weapons than any other. But we're not stopping there. We're supporting an important F-16 training mission, a mission that feeds a fighter pilot community already dangerously short of personnel. Simply put, we have more opportunities than ever to shape combat air power. We should take great pride in our important daily contributions to national security and the mission of the U.S. Air Force. In closing, let me state that combat air power does indeed start here, and it starts with our people, our airmen, our most treasured resource. I'm proud to call myself a fighting 49er, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Cantwell. Ladies and gentlemen, the 49th Wing will welcome Colonel Cantwell with his first salute as the Commander, 49th Wing. It is a time-honored tradition for the 49th Wing flagship to bear the organization's designation on the vertical stabilizer in the name of the commander on the side of the aircraft. Please direct your attention towards the aircraft on your left. Staff Sergeant Malcolm Jeffers from the 49th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron will now unveil the commander's name on the aircraft. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the Air Force song and the departure of the official party.